Hello, welcome back to the channel. It's Natalie. I am playing with an old image here. I'm going to fully admit this one is old, but look at her. Look at how gorgeous she is. This is an old High Hopes image. Now, they were doing digital images, I think. No, this one is actually a rubber stamp, but I think in the end they did do some digital images. So I will see if I can find at least a digital image of her and leave a link down below. But she's gorgeous. This is E04. This is my standard skin color. I really need to have a play with some different skin colors, but it's E04, E11, E01 and E000. I'm just making sure we have the darker parts like underneath her fringe, or her bangs as American peeps like to call them, and also around near her mouth, because that watermelon is going to be projecting a little bit of a shadow onto her face. I picked this image even though I know it is old because of the watermelon. I wanted to see about colouring a watermelon and having a look and seeing what was around. And it's like seeing what I could do, sort of thing. So I did have to do a little bit of research, but I came up with a combination that I quite like. I do think I needed to extend my deeper color down a little bit because it's got the line for the green. You just saw me jump a little bit because I colored the hand the same as the other one. I didn't think you needed to see it again. Anywho, this has, I lost where I was going. This has the white rim already lined up, so I know I can sort of take the red sort of pretty far down. But I wanted to have a play and see what it looks like. I'm hoping that if you have another stamp with a watermelon, this will be useful for you. The hair colors that I am using today are E35, E25, YR31 and E50. I wanted her to be a little bit brown, but have that blonder sort of highlights through it. And I thought this was a really nice little combination. It's picking out where her bows finish and where her hair sort of goes. So you do see down the very underneath my hand there, I've forgotten a little bit, but I can always add that in later. I do figure it out. There is certain parts of this stamp I'm going to not color. See that little bit there? For example, the white part of the rim, because I figured it's pretty much, we've already taken it down. You'll see when we come up to it, we've already taken it down to a very, very, very light red. And also underneath her dress, because I did the really dark green, I did the really dark dress. Spoiler alert, it's got a dark dress. And I didn't think it needed it. You don't have to color all those pieces. It's a very fine area and the eye is going to be dragged to the dress and the grass, and you're not going to need, no one's going to know. You're going to know because I just told you, but no one's going to know, okay? Finishing off my hair, she was just a little bit too sweet and I had to color her in. They have another one called Dwight, and I have him also, but I think I'm going to move him out of my stash. I might color him just for last hurrah. So if you're in Australia and you want this stamp, let me know. I'm going to move it on. And also Dwight, he is pretty cute. He blows a bubble. He's got a bubble. What is it called? A wand? Bubble wand? I don't know. But he's blowing bubbles. So yeah, let me know if you would like this stamp or Dwight, because they need a little bit more love than I have been giving them, and they are a bit older. My grass is YG67, YG17 and YG03. I'm loving that combination lately. And where we have our lines for the grass, I'm trying to keep that, but I'm also adding a little bit of flicks here and there. You can predominantly see that on the right hand side to add a little bit more interest and a little bit more depth to our colouring. Our dress, BV04, as you can read there, BV34 and BV01. This is the point where you can add a lot of depth to the image because it's a 2D image, but we want to have interest in it. We want to have depth. The watermelon itself does not have any depth to it because we cannot see any of the sides. But the dress, we have lines, we have ruffles, not ruffles, but it's all crunched up. So we can add a little bit depth to the color by behind the lines by adding a darker color and blending it out. So the highlight part is sort of going to be the front of that line, shall we say. This is going to give it that depth that we're looking for, and it's going to make our image stand out so much more. This card all over is going to be pretty plain and pretty simple in the overall design because I like to do, if I'm going to spend all this time colouring, I like to keep it simple. But saying that, if you've been at my channel any time, you do also know that I don't mind myself a little bit of a scene card. I don't do them quite so much, but at the moment, but I'm sure that will come around. We go in ebbs and flows, really, don't we? Of colouring or scene cards or plain and simple. That's me. Anyway, maybe other people are different. I don't know. I've coloured her little bows exactly the same, with the same combination, just trying to keep where something is sitting on top of something else. It's going to be projecting a shadow on the underneath and trying to give my bows a little bit of depth where it comes into the center knot. Watermelon. Using the R08, I am making it sort of the deepest color. And if I had my choice again, I'd probably, when I do that the second time around, because I color each image usually 2 times, I'd probably go over those again to make them a little bit deeper. But this was me having a play with colouring a watermelon, and I quite like how it turned out. It's just my own, where we are our own worst critic, and so that's where I would have that. So I've gone R35, my next, sort of my darkest colour. Well, the darkest is the R08, which is only a little bit here and there. R05, R32, flicking out, so we had those flicks with the watermelon. R32 and R01 for R32 and R01, and then down to R000 for where it's going to be super light and into the white areas. The R32, I've used a little bit of a stippling action. This is going to help soften that line and allow us to sort of take it down really low down to the R000. G28 and YG25, they are very dark. The G28 is a very dark color, but the dark, when I was looking at pictures of watermelons, you know, you've got a really dark and a really light areas on the edge of the outer parts of the watermelon. This stamp set is from a Christina Werner Everything Will Be Okay stamp set, and I really like the font, but nothing was suitable for my little watermelon girl apart from You Got This, which was more of a plainer font. It wasn't the italic font. I've mounted that up on Wisteria Wonder from an old Stampin' Up colour, and I'm going to adhere that to our card base, and that's pretty much it. The last thing I'm going to do is add a little bit of glossy accents to her watermelon, because I thought that was really going to be sweet. So there's a fair bit of colouring, so this is why I'm sort of keeping it a lot plainer. I have a needle tool here, and I'm just making sure my glossy accents is spread around nice and evenly and I don't have any bubbles. And that's my card. That's it. That's all there is to it. So I hope you're well. Take care. I'll leave a link down below. Have a great day. See you next time. Bye.